In this Blender speedrun tutorial, you will see how I created this scene from scratch in roughly 3 hours. The video will be divided in modeling, lighting, and texturing. I will also show how to use Photoshop for the post-production. You can slow down the video, and if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. In the future, I'm planning to do more in-depth videos about photorealistic lighting and texturing, so make sure to subscribe to my channel. And if you want to download the completed scene and support the channel, you can visit my Patreon page. The link is in the description. Keep in mind I'm starting from a custom startup file. I will leave a link in the description. It is a very simple startup file which uses a cloudy HDR and a black background, so I can quickly focus just in the modeling. As a CGA artist, I usually only model the space as per the blueprints delivered by the client, and then I add already made furniture into the scene and I create the shadows for these models. And I will be doing the same for this video. The modeling process is very simple. I will be using boxes and the knife tool mostly to create the windows. At this point, when I have the basic shape of my space, I will try to figure it out, my camera position, and then I continue to add details to the space. I want to have a wooden ceiling here, so I add a little bit of displacement with the texture cloud to make this more organic. In this case, I didn't have any blueprints, so I'm just being inspired by a photo of an interior that I found. I'm creating the details for the windows. I'm not even using the snap tool. It's nice to work quickly the modeling, as I personally don't really enjoy modeling. I think the magic is in the lighting. I'm adding this kind of fireplace. And also I want to add this thing. I don't even know what is it, but it's going to look nice. I'm adding a wall here also. It's like a kind of desk in the corner, and I will add a window so we can have a little bit more of lighting coming from this side. So here I made the HDR a little bit stronger because I couldn't see anything of what I was doing. I'm creating the baseboard from a single vertex that I will extrude and then use the solidify modifier. All of the furniture, as mentioned before, is available for free on different websites. I think most of them I download from 3D Sky. I'm moving now to the lighting process. I will be using the sky texture, which I think is a very powerful tool, and I will test a lot of values until I get what I want. I'm just looking for a daytime image with a subtle sun coming in. I'm rotating the sun so I can have it hitting the floor and the wall. I'm also using the sun size value to reduce the sharpness of the light, and I also like to use the air and ozone values. The air will make the sun a little bit warmer and the ozone will make the sky a little bit bluish, which makes a nice contrast. And we can finally start creating the shaders. I'm planning to make more in-depth videos, not speedruns, but fully detailed videos about shaders and lighting in the future. So if you are interested, you should subscribe and let me know in the comments that you are interested. Just like for the models, all the textures that I will be using are free assets available on the internet. A lot of them from Quixel, but you can find textures all over the internet anyway. Always use these nodes for the saturation and contrast of a texture. I think you will never find a texture that really fits your scene, so you will always need to modify them a little bit. I want to keep the things simple. I'm just using a diffuse map and the normal map. I'm not even using a roughness map for most of these shaders. I think you don't really need to add a lot of detail to each shader. The only important thing is to have a harmonious scene as a whole. So if all the colors looks right, that's enough for me. So this black background is driving me crazy, so I want to fix it quickly. I'm not going to model anything because this is so far away and it's a very small part of the image, so I'm just using an image that I found on the internet. It's like a kind of trees with grass, and that's enough. I think it's looking good for something that is far away in the scene. The fabric for the carpet will be similar to the fabrics for the sofas and chair. It's just a base material with a normal map, and that's it. We are just aiming for having quick shaders that looks enough good to have an overall nice image. This plant was a complicated thing because the free model that I found wasn't the best one. The textures that were with the model were very low quality, so I had to do a few testing until I found something that I like. I don't think that I really like this plant, but I don't care. Usually there is no time to chefs keep searching for another model, so you have to make it work. For the candles, I will use a subtle surface scattering. I think it adds something else, a little bit more of, it really changed the geometry. It really looks like wax now. So it's a nice detail to have in this kind of objects. The fire is also a base material of fire and opacity, so you can remove the black parts of the image. And then I'm using emissive, so we can have a brighter fire, and that's enough. I will make the fireplace a little bit darker, and I don't really want to waste a lot of time in this part of the scene because this is looking acceptable right now. I don't think this is the best fire that I found, but it's good enough. Okay, all the shaders are in, so I'm adding a few more details with the lighting. I want to add this kind of light cove here because it just looks nice. And also I'm going to tweak a little bit more the general lighting. And now we are ready for the render. I will export the image as a PNG in 16 bits. So I'm just watching at this image, and the first time that it really shocks me is the warm color. I don't really like it. I want it to be less warm, so I'm going to reduce the temperature, and now it's looking more natural. So now I will proceed with reducing the highlights and increasing the contrast. Also a little bit more of exposure, and I think this is looking very nice already. I also like to increase the texture and increase the clarity. The clarity will increase the contrast in the edges of the colors, and the texture will just increase the contrast in each part of the image, so you can have more detailed textures like in the wooden materials. I also add a little bit of vignetting and I like to play a little bit with the curves. Finally, I want to reduce the saturation of this bluish material, and I also like to make it a little bit more cyan. That was all for the camera raw, but I want to tweak a little bit more the image. So what I'm doing now is to create a curve, and I will increase the exposure a little bit, but I will mask to have more exposure just in this part of the image, like in the center of the image. So we can, this is nice because the eye will go directly to display of the image, so it creates a nice natural frame for it. And finally, I want to reduce a little bit the saturation of the wooden ceiling, and that's it. This is the final image. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.